is Letitia James, threatening the seizure of Trump Tower. Watch.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
I mean, this is exactly where she is right now. And just to give you some perspective on how insane and how bad this really is, you got Jeb Bush. Yeah, like as in the Bush family, Jeb Bush that ran against Trump, actually coming out and defending Donald Trump right now. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, at some point, politics doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I mean, your actual rights as an American are being threatened with this particular lawsuit. And let me tell you, it's going to have devastating consequences for the New York economy, New York City specifically. I want to go to a Fox Business reporter, the place I used to work, right? Fox Business reporter outside Trump Tower talking about this very issue. Let's take it away here.
Judge in former President Trump's civil fraud trial saying that the GOP frontrunner has no grounds to postpone the enforcement on last week's $450 million record decision against an individual. Trump's lawyers had asked for a 30-day delay. Fox Business correspondent Lydia Hugh live outside the famous Trump Tower here in New York City, which could potentially be a property for sale. We'll see what happens. Hi, Lydia.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here today, but happening just a little while ago, Judge Arthur Engoron was writing in emails to defense counsel for Trump that the defense attorneys had failed to justify any basis for this stay. Trump's lawyers had asked for that 30-day delay on enforcement after the Attorney General, Letitia James, said earlier this week that she was ready to seize Trump's assets, including his buildings, if he were unable to pay this massive fine. Now, without a delay, the former president would have about a month to appeal and post a bond to protect his assets, like his buildings. To get that bond, experts tell me that Trump may be required to deposit enough money to cover the entire judgment. That's roughly the $450 million. So some wonder whether that will force Trump to declare bankruptcy. Trump reportedly has about $400 million in cash or liquid assets now, so not quite enough to cover that whole bond. If he did declare bankruptcy, enforcement of the judgment would be paused, but it wouldn't go away. And as these financial questions unfold, Martha, critics are calling for the reversal of this court decision on appeal. Former Florida governor and Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush writes this: if these rulings stand, the damage could cascade through the economy, creating fear of arbitrary enforcement against entrepreneurs who seek public office or raise their voices as citizens in a way that politicians dislike. We'll continue to follow developments, Martha, but we'll send it back.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting to the point where it is so positively ridiculous and so positively pathetic that now Jeb Bush has to weigh in this Wall Street Journal article. I mean, come on. This woman, I find her absolutely nauseating. This sort of glee that she takes. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, when it's all said and done, it goes to the appellate court. Can't get there sooner. It can't get there soon enough, right? I mean, the faster, the better. But when it goes to the appellate court and this thing gets overturned, one of the reasons it's going to get overturned so quickly is because of her absolute rabid political vitriol. I mean, did you see what she has been posting on Twitter? She keeps talking about how the money's going up and she keeps adding the interest in every day with glee. This is not what our legal system is supposed to be. This is not what it was intended. So here, Jeb Bush now coming out slamming, absolutely slamming the Biden administration, slamming Letitia James, totally torching them. And I'm going to read to you from this. He writes, the U.S. is the business capital of the world, in large part because of its robust constitutional system. In other words, we got a decent legal system, not these idiots, and impartial judiciary. But two unprecedented legal decisions against Donald Trump in New York and, of course, against Elon Musk in Delaware call that into question. In both cases, judges have ordered massive punitive judgments on behalf of dubious or non-existent victims. In other words, there are no victims in this. You have Deutsche Bank, the bank, which made out like bandits, right? Because they got the entire loan paid back. They're the ones that took on the risky credit risk that was Donald Trump. They made the decision to do that knowing that they had the securitization of these various properties, including Mar-a-Lago. Whether Letitia James thinks it's worth $18 million or whether she thinks it's worth $2 million or whether she thinks it's $180 million, you know what? It's irrelevant because the bank made a decision that it was worth whatever they deemed it was worth, and thus they lent Trump the money. For her to come in after the fact, not to mention that how in any way, shape, or form would the crime justify this kind of punishment? It just doesn't. And so this threatens the very core existence of who we are as a nation, which is supposedly, or used to be, a fair place. Every American, he continues to write, has a right to be critical of Mr. Trump's politics. One of us ran against him in 2016. He's, of course, referring to himself or Mr. Musk's public persona. But equality before the law is precious. And these rulings represent a crisis not only for the soundness of our courts, but for the business environment that has allowed the United States to prosper. If these rulings stand, the damage could cascade throughout the economy, creating fear of arbitrary enforcement against entrepreneurs who seek public office or raise their voices as citizens in ways that politicians dislike. Hear, 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 hear. I mean, come on. Enough already. This thing needs to get to the appellate court as of yesterday. She can't sit there and say, I'm going to threaten you with bankruptcy. I'm going to seize your assets because you can't meet this insane fine. As you heard the reporter suggest earlier, it has been reported that Donald Trump has some $400 million in cash. But you know what? That wouldn't be enough because with the interest, you're looking at something like $464 million in each and every day it grows. So upwards total of some $500 million in change. So that's $500 million. Okay, let's just round up. It is $500 million that somehow Donald Trump has to materialize out of thin air. I don't care how wealthy you are. I don't care if you are Elon Musk. You know what? Nobody has that kind of money just sitting around. I've told you guys this before. That's not how you become wealthy, right? By just hanging onto your cash and putting it under the mattress. So ladies and gentlemen, we get ourselves a real threat, frankly, to the system that we are and need to be and always have been. It is under attack. And it's under attack because they don't like one guy. Their hatred for Donald Trump is so extraordinary that they're going to do whatever they can to take him out. And in the process, they're taking out the country. They're taking out business. They're taking out our economy. Tucker Carlson said this well, actually, just a few months ago. I'm going to play a clip from his show because he made the point. You know what? They're going to do whatever they can. And they're going to keep going and going and going until he's gone. Because you know what? They can't beat him on their own. Watch.
But because Joe Biden and his many allies, from Chuck Schumer to Mitch McConnell to Paul Ryan and every single news anchor on all of television, all of them believe that Ukraine, its borders, its future, its infrastructure are all more important than the town that you live in. They sincerely think that, and it's obvious. Everyone in power thinks that, except for Donald Trump. Whatever else you say about him, Trump is the one guy with an actual shot at becoming president who dissents from Washington's long-standing pointless war agenda. And for that one fact, they're trying to take Trump out before you can vote for him. And that should upset you more than anything that's happened in American politics in your lifetime.
It upsets me. It should upset you as well. I imagine it does.